Low light options for your low-tech tank. This is what we're going to be talking about in this video in the aquarium lighting series. Check it out. Welcome to another video, and in this video we are going to talk about some low light options for a low-tech tank. Now before we get going, if you're new here and you want to learn more about aquariums and talk about aquariums, please hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you know when I do more videos as well as do live streams. Now just to know that this video is made for two types of people. First, the first person is the type of person that's coming here to learn about low light options for their tank and not following the series at all, which is fine, works great. The second type of person that's watching this video is the person that's following the series. So it's important to know that I will sometimes mention some stuff that pertains mainly to the series because we talked about it before. And if that happens, you will see this pop up. And that will let you know that this is part of that series and that's some information that you might need to know or something that I'm referencing to. Now let's lay out some assumptions. First of all, these are low light options for a low tech plant tank, meaning that it is good for low light demanding plants, and I made a couple videos about those type of plants which you can find here. Low tech also means that you won't be using CO2 or very little CO2 or do-it-yourself type of CO2. We're also an assumption that you're using gravel or you're using non-charged substrate like Complete or Flooville stratum, which don't actually have major nutrients in them, and then you have to put nutrients by dosing your water column with all-in-one fertilizers. And finally, a low-tech setup, meaning that the plants will grow slow. You're not pushing them to grow faster than usual, and in order to do that, you kind of need higher lighting and kind of more high-tech setup. So remember that. Now, when we talk about low light options, we're talking about getting about 30 par or maybe less at 18 inches from the light to the substrate. We're also going to talk about regular daylight spectrum, meaning that, it's the normal spectrum that we're going to be expecting from these lights. As well, for coverage, it really depends on the manufacturer, but most of these lights will cover well in your tank. Now, this is also beyond the scope of TH, T12s, and regular T5s, as that is such an old school option, and I really don't suggest including those anymore, especially with all the various options that we have nowadays in this hobby. Now, if you use any of these options here or you have used other low light options that I'm not mentioning in this video, leave a comment down below. Let us know about your experience. That will help someone else in the future, as well as any mention of products or videos here. The links are down in the description below. Now, any prices I mentioned here are based on a 24-inch lighting strip where applicable, okay? This just makes it easier for us to compare the pricing based on one type of strip. So let's get going. The first thing we're going to talk about is do-it-yourself options. Do-it-yourself options will work. It will work for low light demanding plants, and it's readily available and easy to get. You go to your big box store or go to Amazon and grab them, and they'll range from $10 to $25. Now, since the par rating and the spectrum rating are really lacking in these type of do-it-yourself options, we're going to have to assume and go with the standard measurements that's not based on, for growing plants. So we're going to have to break some rules here when we do that. Now, the first thing we're talking about is compact fluorescent bulbs. You get a daylight compact fluorescent bulb. Choose whatever Kelvin rating you want, 6000K, 6500K, whatever works best for you. I would suggest around that mark right there because that white light's going to make greens pop up really well in your tank. Now, if you really want to go cheap, you could always get a simple clip-on garage type of shop light that you could use and just put on top of your tank cover, and that will work well. Now, just remember, if you have a longer tank, you might have to use two fixtures, okay? And when you're buying these bulbs, we're talking about, for smaller tanks, about 23 watts to 25 watts kind of base rating there, and you can go from there and see how well that works. Next option is floodlights. Now, floodlights is used basically outdoors or sometimes indoors, mostly outdoors to light up gardens and stuff. And these guys will work well for growing low light demanding plants. You have tons of wattage available for you for these floodlights, as well as the Kelvin ratings seem to range about 5,000 to about 6,500K ratings. So if you're doing a tank which is all green, it would look decent. But here's the problem. Some people report that the lighting color isn't as reported on these lights, so it doesn't look as good on your tank. But one good thing is that they're usually waterproof because, you know, they're made for outdoors, so they have to be protected from the rain. So that's actually good news for us since we're dealing with water all the time. However, there are some cons. One being that they do get hot. Some of these are known to get pretty hot, so you want to watch out if you're actually placing these on top of your glass cover of your tank. Second, the other thing is that some of these are really cheaply made, so it's reported that some of these dials do burn out quick, and then next thing you know, you have half the power coming from these lights. So what I suggest is for 20 gallons or smaller, you go with something that's about 20 watts, and they go for around 15 to 20 bucks a pop, and that's pretty cheap, especially with the coverage that they do give your tank, especially at a tank that's small. For a larger tank that has larger depths, that say more than 12 inches, you might have to get bigger lights. You probably look at options like 50 watt lights, which cost you around 20 bucks, and then around 45 bucks you get about almost 100 watt type of lights. But again, don't go overboard. It's really easy to go overboard on this and get too powerful a light, and suddenly all you're doing is growing algae and your plants can't keep up. Although it's very cheap and very easy to use, because all you do, or you can do, is just place it on top of your tank and be done with it. But if you're really crafty, you're a do-it-yourself kind of person, you can make some nice looking canopies or some kind of nice fixture to make it look nice on your tank. Now we'll go over some low cost option where will cost you around $30, but at least it'll look good. And just a reminder that these type of lines, they're kind of like made in China, off-brand kind of things, and they have like different, you know, levels of lighting, and these are the lighting that I chose that will grow low lighted plants, so check it out. The first option that's pretty popular in our hobby is Beamswork F-Spec. Now this is their cheaper version of their lighting option that will grow low lighted plants. You should check that out. It is sleek, but the problem I have with the Beamswork is that it's wide. On say something like a 20 gallon tank, you see how wide this is. It takes out about half of the tank itself. So if you want to put another light on it or another Beamswork light on it, it will totally cover your tank. If that's not a problem for you, then hey, it worked well. Now this thing is made okay. You can tell it's not waterproof at all. It's not water resistant. This is a cheap plastic piece right here that's covering it. But all in all, it will do its job, and for 30 bucks, what else can you argue with, you know? The second type of light I would suggest and I had experience with is the Night Crew Sky LED. They are another cheap option. Again, just like the Beamswork, they are cheaply made. Now we'll go into branded options, which is about $30 or more, but at least under $80, I think, is the highest price that I have on this list here. So let's check those out. The first product we're going to talk about is the Current USA Freshwater LED, which will cost you around $36 and will work decently well to grow low light demanding plants. This thing is thin and sleek, and it has a very small narrow footprint, so if you want to put extra lighting fixtures, it will work well. You'll have a lot of room to do that on top of your tank. Now finally, if you're into this type of thing, it has 3 modes that you could set that kind of does special effects for you and make your tank look different. The next one we're going to talk about is the Phoenix Stingray, which is one of my personal favorites, but it's going to run you around $50. But it works really well. It looks very nice, and I've had a lot of experience with these because it's one of the brands I tend to get all the time. Now this fixture is like pencil thin. It's really, really nice and sleek looking, and it has a very narrow footprint. So even on a 10-gallon tank, if you want to put 3 fixtures on it, you still have more than enough room to put maybe a 4th fixture if you really need to. Now I think the only drawback for some people is that it only has one mode, on or off. It doesn't have any special frilly, you know, special effects that you can use to make your tank look different, different times of day and all that stuff. But for me, a guy that's just straightforward with growing plants, I just need an on or off mode. The Flooville Echo Bright, and this will cost you around $60, but this is Flooville we're talking about here, backed by a big company. They do research in their products, and this light in itself, just like the other Flooville branded lights, are really well made, and I never had any problems with them myself. It comes with a remote control that allows you to adjust the intensity manually or use presets that have already been programmed into the light fixture itself. Now you can step up and get the Flooville Aqua Sky, which will cost you around $73, but it comes with 11 special effects that will make your aquarium look kind of cool and spooky and gimmicky, and you know, for some people that matters. Now for all these options, we are just talking about your standard daylight typical spectrum chart. As you see here, you see a lot of spikes in the blue, some in the greens, but there is no spikes in the red. Now for these options, it might not grow your plants tall and sturdy, but at least it'll grow it out bushy, maybe a little stunted. Anything else, you have to look at something more specialized in growing plants, and that means a cost will go up a little bit more. In the next video in this series, we're going to talk about the medium to high lighting options that we could use to grow our aquarium plants. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Remember to like this video if you like it and share it where you can. I love you guys. Stay wet with your tanks. I'm out. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.